Hello. Today I am going to replace a rear taillight cluster from a S205 Mercedes Kombi, either Kombi or T-modell or Estate or Touring, depending where you live. So here's the car. So it's an Estate. And somebody hit the light, and as you can see, it's got a hole in it. I've just taped it up for now, but I've got the new light from Mercedes here, and I'm going to replace it. So here are the things you need. You need an 8mm spanner of some description or socket. You need a Torx 25 T25, and if you've got trim tools, I think trim tools will be helpful. I didn't have them when I got it out before, but I think they'll be useful. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to be working against a carpet that lines here. The sausage dog is optional, but I recommend it highly. You've got this carpet here lining, and you're going to go through here. You can see you've got an access panel here, so I can pull this access panel out. There we go. So that access panel's fine, and you can see in there that there are some screws, some bolts here. So there's one there, there's one pointing, and that's the 8mm that we're going to get off down here. But you can't actually access them. There isn't really access to get all of them here, unless, well, I mean, you might be able to do it if you've got very good fingers, but I haven't. So I'm going to take the carpet out first, and then do it more easily. Right, so in order to get this carpet out here, so this is the piece of carpet you want to get out. You can see it's tucked here underneath this sill. And the way this sill comes out is it has two things attaching it. The first thing is, I'll try not to flip the camera upside down, there's a T25 bolt here. So this whole like plastic panel with this bit of silver on is one piece. So that T25 comes out, and then the whole thing is mounted on like interior trim plugs. Very first thing you have to do is take off this rubber seal. As you can see, it just pulls off. Nothing clever about it, just put it straight off, it'll come off. It's got this this channel here that the metal bead sits in, so you just pull that straight off there and it'll come off. So just put it all the way up so that you've had this the silver piece exposed. So yeah, you just have to pull up sharply, and the thing does come away. When I did it the first time, I kind of got a bit bendy and aggressive. You can see I broke two of the clips here. They're available in packs of 10 off eBay for like €2. So I've got a load coming, and when they arrive, I'll put two back on. But I don't think it's not going to make a massive amount of difference really. Just, I guess, to stop a little bit of rattling, but easy enough to fix. And if you pull the thing straight up, it just does come up. Don't put it up in a bent one like I did. So now we've got this away, you can see the pieces that we need to take off. So this cowling like seal here, there's a T25 there that holds that in, so that needs to come off. Let's do that. Real time turning of a Torx screw. That's right, there's a tab just here, so when you get to the top bit, pull here and it should just pop out. He says, hopefully. Gonna come out? Well, could use my trim tool, couldn't I? My trim tool. Right, let's do that. Well, I did go in the toolbox and get them, so let's use a trim tool. Watch this snap off now. Right, trim tool's in there. Where are we? Yeah, trim tool in. Right the way in, apply pressure. Gonna pop out. There we go. Pop. Good pop. Okay, and it's got a little washer on it, so try not to lose that. Now you see we're starting to get at this thing, and you can see here the bottom of one of the 8mm bolts going through the car. So you've got 3 bolts going through the car, one here, one's about here, one's about here. And then the surprise bit is that on the back of this, there's a little like interference fit round push thing that you push into a rubber grommet that's in the in the interior of this wing. Which, yeah, so you need to know it's there, else you'll take your 3 bolts off and you'll wonder why you can't move the light. So now what we're going to do is get this carpet off. So initially I'm just going to put it, I've got, it's away here, it's away here. I'm going to disconnect there's a cable behind here. I'm going to get in and disconnect. I'm going to disconnect the cable from the light cluster, which you can just see there, which is just a real simple. See if I can show you what it looks like. I don't know if it'll be bright enough. Oh, the light's pretty. Oh no! Wow, amazing. Okay, good job, iPhone. So the way that works, you see that tab at the top. You just push that tiny little tab down, and the whole thing just slides out. So it's not one of these like engine plugs, which is really hard to get out. It's super simple. So I'm going to get those two out, and then I'm going to pull the carpet away. So more video. I'm going to show you how this carpet comes off, because there's a series of interior clips back here behind this piece. So you do need to pull this whole thing away, and you'll feel it come away, but don't worry. So I mean, this is sort of hooked under there to start with. So this actually isn't the same piece. So just hook that underneath, so the carpet comes free. Get your hand in there and just start to work it away. You'll see I've already undone these clips. So these like long clips that go into a channel that's inside here, and they just clip in. You'll be able to feel it with your hand in there. It's nothing sharp. You can check it out. And I need to go in here, and this is the seat release mechanism. They're super fun, these seat releases. This makes the rear seat go down, and yeah, in Mercedes they decided to power those. So when you hit one of those, the rear seat goes flying forwards. Not seen that before. Okay, so now we've got enough clearance. That whole thing just comes out, and we're going to just bend it slightly over there, but it's fine. You don't need a lot of space. You just need enough space to get to these 3 8mm screws. Oh, and then yeah, okay. There's not a real bottom to that, so things will fall out, but hopefully that's okay. I'm going to drop the camera right in to see if we can see these 3 more easily. So there we go. I think we can just about see them. So you've got 3 holes in the interior, like wing tailgate here. So these are the ones we're going to undo. 1, 2, 3, 8mm on all of those, and then I'll come back. So I've got the 3 bolts off now, and if you see, like you expect, now if I take, you see it's loose, and you can see it's moving. You can see that the thread's starting to appear, but it won't move any further, and that's because of this 4th interference fit little roundy bolt that's in there. I've actually got the new light out, so I'll show you what I'm talking about, as it's going to be much easier to, well, it's much easier to visualise when you can see it, right? So this is the new lamp. Just get this plastic bag out of the way and not use that. So this thing here, that's the orientation of the lamp there, and this plastic sticky out dude is sticking into a grommet somewhere within the interior wing. So we just need to pull it out. You can just pull it out with your fingers. I'm going to try to use my trim tool, and hopefully I can show you the correct angle to pull it out at. So it's really simple. So stick him down there, and then let's get our trim tool. And these trim tools are absolute lifesaver. I use them all the time. I don't know what brand is these. Bojo, made in USA. I guess that means it's good. But yeah, I bought a pack of like 7 variety of these off eBay. £10, €10, something like that. And I use them all the time, particularly when I had my M5. I was messing around a lot with bits of trim and trying to learn to wrap them and stuff, because I didn't like the chrome on it. Anyway, so I reckon if I just very gently wiggle that in there and start to pull away, that'll pop out. Let's find out. I'm not really putting much pressure at all there. Now that hasn't worked great, actually. So let's try from underneath. There you go. So yeah, right. So actually, the angle you need to pull at is more like coming this way, as opposed to coming like straight out of the car. You want to get in and then try and pull it towards you where you're standing. If you're standing behind the car, yeah. And if this idiot had actually paid attention to the piece that he was looking at just now, he would have figured that out. Anyway, let's pull this up. I'll see if I can do it with one hand. See if I can do this with one hand. I guess if I drop this one, it doesn't matter because it's broken. But this now should be super. Yeah, here we go. Super free, and he's just going to come out. So easy as that. Let's stick that down, and we're going to fit the new one. So I've got this new lamp in there. It looks like it's the right one. That's nice, isn't it? The way I would suggest to do this I'm going to try and do this with one hand. If I drop this will make a terrible video. But what I suggest you do is get the little black rubber dude, just sort of sit him in his space, and then you can easily track these in and push the whole thing in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push here. You can feel that. You can feel it sort of going. Yeah. I mean, it's not the best because it's not like it doesn't click in as such. It just sort of squeezes its way into I guess a slightly smaller spongy passage. So yeah, but no worries. You know, these things are lining up. It always looks like you got these things wrong, right? I mean, it looks like the gap's too big, but when that's sitting in there, that'll be fine. So we're going to do that. Okay, new light is installed. Three nuts later, and one squidgy in rubber thing. The only thing I wanted to mention was when you're putting these 8mm nuts in, they're not done tight at all. Obviously, you know, there's a thread here but it's in plastic, so probably if you over tighten it will rip the thread out of the plastic. This is a 2017 car, so I guess these lights had been in the car for 2 years. They weren't tight at all, firm is how I would describe how you should tighten them up. Just do it firmly and no more. Definitely don't, once you get resistance, don't try and like put another half turn on, because I don't think it will do anything any favours. So now I've connected up the two cables. This guy's connected back up. The cable for the light there is connected back up. And I'm just going to go ahead and push this back together. You see we've got a green trim clip here. It needs to locate into that hole there, and then locate all this down here. This orange clip here, don't forget that. So you can actually push the whole of this top section in and then lever this in. There's enough clearance and bend in it that when you're pushing this in, you can push it like against here and then sort of lever it on, and you can feel it go on. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's do that then. Good, so that seems to be working. No errors from the car or anything like that. Fit seems fine, similar to on the other side. There's a tiny gap here, but yeah, all fine. Yeah, just be careful when you put the seal back, because you've got like 3 pieces to this seal. You've got this exterior flap, you've got the bit that goes as the beading, and then you've got an interior flap as well. And the route that takes, you can get it caught like all kinds of different places. You can get it caught here the wrong way, so just make sure you do it in the right order. You know, look at the other side if you get confused, because it has to route underneath there and it has to go under the bumper, etc. But yeah, super simple job. Half an hour end to end, and yeah, hopefully this was slightly helpful for anyone. I think the only thing that will be really helpful is if someone's trying to get the thing out and they don't realise that there's something in there they can just pull at.